It's late and the room is quiet, but your mind won't be. You replay that conversation like a loop you can't turn off. You hear your own voice, too warm, too quick to reassure. You remember the pause where you could have stopped, and you didn't. Now you're lying there thinking, I should have said less. I should have let it sit. You weren't trying to manipulate anyone. You were trying to survive the mood of the room. A raised eyebrow, a sigh, a slammed door, those were lessons. So you became the peacemaker, the fixer, the one who keeps things smooth even when you're the one paying. Most people think being a good person is an identity, something stamped into you at birth. But for a lot of you, good started as a strategy. Not because you were fake, but because you were smart. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being agreeable kept you safe. Being helpful reduced tension. Being understanding made other people calmer. The problem begins when good stops being a choice and turns into a requirement you have to meet to feel okay. There's a quiet difference between doing the right thing and needing to be seen as the one who always does the right thing. The first is character. The second is a mask. You wear it to avoid conflict, to avoid rejection, to avoid the sting of shame. And masks have a price. When your kindness becomes automatic, people stop treating it like a gift and start treating it like a service. They don't even have to ask politely. They just lean. Predictability invites pressure. If you always bend first, people push first. If you always explain, people demand more. So here's the calm question you don't ask often enough. Who benefits when you stay easy to manage? You don't get used because you're kind. You get used because you're consistent in the same direction. It usually doesn't begin with someone openly taking from you yet. It begins with a small test, almost casual, like they're checking the temperature of the room. A message you reply to quickly, and they answer hours later like it's normal. A joke that uses your name as the punchline, then a smile that says, "Relax." A favor that's assumed, not asked for, as if your time is already spoken for. The first tiny disrespect is rarely dramatic. That's why it works. You notice it, but you soften it in your head. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe you're being sensitive. And because you don't push back, the moment passes cleanly. To them, that clean pass is data. Then you do what you've always done. You explain yourself. You send the careful paragraph, the gentle clarification, the no worries at the end to prove you're still safe to be around. Over-explaining isn't just kindness, it's a signal. It tells them you can be moved with discomfort, that a little awkwardness can steer you. Without realizing it, you trained them. Every time you swallowed your no, you taught them your yes could be borrowed. Every time you laughed along, you showed them the line could shift. They don't announce the conclusion out loud, but they store it. This person won't push back. And here's the calm truth. Predators don't need you weak. They need you uncertain. Uncertainty makes you negotiate with yourself, hesitate, apologize, and second-guess your own boundaries. That hesitation is where they step in, quiet and confident, like they belong there. To escape the trap, you have to see the mechanism, not blame your personality. Most people think relationships run on feelings, but many of them run on quiet transactions no one admits out loud. Attention is traded for approval. Access is traded for loyalty. Emotional labor is traded for being the good one. Nothing is written down, but the expectation sits in the air, and you feel it the moment you try to step back. Some even call it friendship, but it behaves like a ledger in your name. If you give first, you usually believe you're building trust. You offer time, patience, a calm tone, a soft landing. It's your way of proving you're safe, that you won't embarrass them, that you won't make things messy. But some people read that first gift differently. They take to confirm advantage. Not because they're monsters, but because they measure people by what they can get away with. This is where the good person trap tightens. You keep giving, hoping fairness will appear later, like a refund you can claim. You assume that if you explain your intentions clearly enough, they'll meet you in the middle. But people who respect leverage don't move because they understand you. They move because the situation requires it. So when you say, "I just want to be understood," it can become a leash. It tells them you'll keep talking, keep proving, keep softening. As long as there's a chance they'll finally validate your intentions. And while you wait, they keep collecting. Here's the grounded reframe. Respect isn't an emotion, it's a behavior. It shows up in how they speak to you, how they handle your no, how they treat your time when there's nothing to gain. Once you see what they're trading in, you stop paying with your dignity. There are a few emotional buttons people press when they sense you're the good one. They don't always do it consciously. Sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's hunger. But the pattern is simple. They touch a spot, and you move. They watch what you tolerate, then decide how much space they can take without paying first. Button 1 is guilt. It comes dressed as sacrifice. "After all I've done for you," they say, or they sigh like you owe them oxygen. Your mind starts adding up invisible debts, and you rush to repay them with time, money, or patience you didn't offer. Button 2 is fear of conflict. Your body treats tension like danger. A sharp tone, a cold silence, a raised voice. Your chest tightens, and you'll do almost anything to make the air feel normal again. Button 3 is the need to be seen as decent. Image over self-respect. You'd rather look reasonable than be protected, so you perform calm while your needs quietly disappear to keep things smooth. Picture the small moment. Someone pushes past your boundary with a smile. You smile back because it's easier. You keep your tone polite. You even laugh. Then later, alone, you feel sick, like you traded a piece of yourself for peace that didn't last. You replay what you should have said, and you blame your overthinking when the truth is your system is protesting. Here's the insight that changes it. The more you explain, the more you negotiate your worth. Every extra sentence tells them your no can be softened, your boundary can be debated, your value can be priced. Now we replace those buttons with something quieter, standards that don't beg. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that being fair would protect you. If you stayed reasonable, people would eventually meet you there. But fairness isn't something you can pull out of someone by offering more of yourself. Fairness is shared by people who already carry standards. When you meet an unfair person with extra patience, you're not being noble. You're giving them more room to stay the same. You can be ethical without being available. You can tell the truth without staying in the conversation. You can care without carrying. The nice part of you keeps confusing goodness with access. So you answer every call, soften every boundary, and keep your schedule open for people who treat your time like it's weightless. That isn't virtue, that's training. Watch the equal effort illusion. You keep giving because you expect it to be reciprocated, because that's how a healthy bond works. But with certain people, your effort doesn't inspire effort. It inspires entitlement. They don't see your consistency as loyalty, they see it as permission. And then you start working harder, as if more proof will create more respect. You don't have to match their chaos with your morals. You don't have to argue your boundary like a case. When someone keeps shifting the rules, your job isn't to fix the game. It's to leave. Here's the clean rule that ends the argument in your head. If respect must be begged for, it's already gone. Not because you're dramatic, but because respect shows itself in behavior, not in promises after the damage. Calm detachment is how you stop paying for lessons with your nervous system. It isn't revenge, it's self-defense, delivered quietly, without speeches or theatrics. The next step is simple, but it will feel unfamiliar. Fewer words, stronger posture. Saying less isn't about becoming cold. It's about closing the doorway you used to leave open. When you over-explain, you hand people extra handles to grab. They can debate your reasons, fish for pity, or press on the parts of you that hate, disappointing anyone. A long explanation turns a simple boundary into a conversation, and conversations are where pressure lives. Clarity is short. Justification is noisy. Clarity sounds like a decision. Justification sounds like a request for permission. You don't need to make your no feel comfortable for someone who benefits from your yes. Try sentences that don't create loops. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. No. Notice how these lines don't accuse, don't apologize, and don't offer a gap for bargaining. They're not rude, they're complete. If they ask why, you can repeat the same sentence slower. Silence is the part most people fear, because it feels like you're leaving the room emotionally. But silence is also a signal. You're not afraid of their reaction. Picture the micro scene. Someone pushes for an answer, waiting for your usual softening. You smile once, politely, and then you don't defend yourself. You say, "That doesn't work for me," and you let the quiet sit. The room changes. Some people get sharper because they lost the steering wheel. Some people relax because they finally know the rules. Either way, you learn faster. You learn who respects you when you don't perform, and who only stays when you bend. That information is power, and it's clean. Short words protect your energy, and they make your boundaries harder to twist. When you stop feeding the conversation, the real dynamics finally show themselves. Emotional boundaries collapse when they're offered like requests. "Please don't do that" can sound like, "Can we talk about this?" to someone who enjoys pushing. They hear your tone, not your limit. And if your limit depends on them caring, it isn't a boundary yet, it's hope. A boundary is an action, not a speech. It's what you will do next, no matter how they feel about it. Not, "I need you to stop," but "if you continue, I will leave." Not, "You're being disrespectful," but "if you speak to me like that, we're done for today." You don't have to convince them you're right. You only have to be consistent with yourself. Consequences work best when they're calm. No storming, no threats, no performance. Calm consequences tell the truth. You're not trying to win, you're choosing what you will and won't be around. The quiet tone is part of the wall. It removes the drama they can use to flip the story, and it keeps your nervous system steady while you follow through. Think of it like a door you close, not a sign you hang. In real life, it can be simple. You stand up, pick up your keys, and say, "I'm heading out now." You don't explain your childhood, your stress, your intentions. The movement speaks. They can argue with your reasons, but not your absence. Watch the one warning trap. You think you're being fair, so you warn, then warn again, then explain why you're warning. After a while, the warning becomes background noise, and they learn something you never meant to teach. You don't move. One clear statement is enough. After that, the boundary is enforced, not discussed. And when you enforce quietly, you'll notice something unsettling: who respects you and who resents you. When you stop being easy, the first thing you notice isn't peace, it's backlash for a while. Not always loud, sometimes subtle. Guilt wrapped in a sigh, confusion that sounds innocent, sudden kindness that feels timed, and the classic line, "You've changed." They may act hurt, offended, or baffled by a boundary that would be normal for anyone else. That reaction can make you doubt yourself, which is exactly why it shows up. Read it calmly. They didn't lose love. They lost access. They lost the shortcut into your time, your attention, your emotional labor. When someone has been benefiting from your automatic yes, your no feels like betrayal, even when it's reasonable. So they pull levers, reminding you of what they've done, rewriting the story, or offering a sweet version of themselves to see if you'll reopen the door. Your nervous system will crave the old nice because it's familiar. Being agreeable used to buy you relief. It lowered the tension fast. Setting a boundary can make your body feel like you're in danger, even if you're simply choosing self-respect. That's why this part matters. Staying steady through the first wave is the whole game. Picture the micro scene. They push again, and your heart starts racing. Your mouth wants to explain. You feel the urge to smooth it over, to rescue the mood. Instead, you breathe, you repeat the line, and you let the discomfort exist. The silence feels sharp for a moment, then it dulls. They adjust or they reveal themselves. Either way, the wave passes and you're still standing. Now we tighten the core. Not just boundaries, but presence, the energy that makes people careful with you. Detachment isn't hatred. It's refusing to be pulled. It's the moment you notice the hook in a conversation and you choose not to bite. You stop sprinting toward every emotion someone throws at you, and you let it land on the ground instead. That's not cold, that's clean. You can care and still choose distance. You can wish someone well and still decide they don't get front row access to your mind. Caring is a feeling, access is a privilege. When you detach, you're not punishing them. You're protecting your nervous system from being used as a playground. A lot of people stay trapped because they keep chasing closure from the very person who benefits from their confusion. They want the final explanation, the perfect apology, the moment where the other person finally admits the truth. But some people will never give you clarity because your questions keep you engaged. So you stop asking for what they won't provide. You adopt an untouchable mindset. Your peace is private property, not public. Debate, not a shared project. Yours. Here's the micro scene. Your phone lights up. You see the message and your body wants to lean in. You want to reread every word, decode the tone, craft the perfect response. Instead, you set the phone down. You don't check again. You don't rehearse. You breathe slowly until the urge loosens. The quiet returns, and you remember you're allowed to have a life that doesn't revolve around their next move. Detachment looks boring from the outside, but inside it's powerful. It means you don't chase adrenaline for proof you mattered. You let time do the sorting. If they respect you, they'll meet your calm. If not, they drift. Once you detach, there's a new problem. People try harder when they can't read you. Unreadable doesn't mean mysterious. It means steady. Your mood isn't a public display, and your reactions aren't available on demand. When you're steady, people can't read you for leverage. They can't predict the exact button to press because you're not broadcasting panic, guilt, or eagerness to be liked. One of the biggest shifts is simple. Stop volunteering personal explanations to people who haven't earned access. You don't have to narrate your motives. You don't have to prove you're a good person. If someone asks a question that feels like a probe, you can answer the surface, not the invitation underneath. Short, clean, enough. Neutral expression helps more than you think. A calm face, a slower pace, a pause before you respond. Pressure thrives on speed. When you reply instantly, you give them momentum. When you take your time, you take the steering wheel back. Slow responses aren't games. They're boundaries for your attention. They tell your body we're safe, we can choose. Use a simple shield when someone tries to corner you. I'll think about it. Not as a tease, as a decision to step out of the emotional trap. It blocks urgency, it blocks guilt, and it buys you space to hear yourself. If they respect you, they'll allow the space. If they don't, they'll push harder, because the point was never the request. It was control. Watch what happens when you don't react. The smiles tighten, the impatience leaks out, the just kidding becomes sharper. Their attempts to manage you surface in sight, and you don't have to argue with guesses anymore. Now we finish the transformation. Not a tactic, a new-eyed from here on, you don't improvise your self-respect. You live by a few quiet rules, and the rules do the heavy lifting when emotions get loud. This is how you stop sliding back into the old role, the one that made you useful but not valued. First, respect is required before access, not after you've proven yourself, not after you've done favors, not after you've been patient enough. Before. If someone can't speak to you with basic decency, they don't get your time, your attention, or your warmth. Second, if it costs peace, it costs too much. Your peace is the price tag you're allowed to read. When a situation demands anxiety, scrambling, or constant explanation, the cost is already higher than the reward. Third, explanations are for allies, not critics. Allies want clarity so they can stay connected. Critics want details so they can argue you back into compliance. You don't owe both the same access. Fourth, your no doesn't need a courtroom. You don't gather evidence, plead your case, or negotiate your worth. You state the boundary, and you move accordingly. Here's the micro scene that proves the change. You feel the old guilt rise when you decline something you used to accept. Your stomach tightens. Your mind reaches for a softer version of your answer. But you breathe, you pause, and you let the guilt pass without acting. Guilt is just a weather pattern now, not a command. This is the quiet power. You become consistent in protecting yourself. Not tense, not hostile, just reliable. People stop testing you because the outcome is predictable in a new direction. Some will call it distance. Some will call it confidence. What matters is you no longer bargain with your own limits. You don't need them to agree. You need you to comply quietly. And when you live by these rules long enough, something changes. Your presence becomes a boundary. You're not quitting goodness. You're quitting performative goodness, the version that constantly auditions for approval, the kind that says yes too fast, smiles through discomfort, and hopes the right tone will earn respect. You can still be generous, still be thoughtful, still be human. But you stop using good as armor, and you stop offering it like payment. That role kept you safe once. It helped you avoid conflict, stay included, stay unblamed. It made you readable, predictable, easy to manage. And maybe that was necessary back then. But now it keeps you small. It turns your life into a series of tiny negotiations where you shrink first so other people can stay comfortable. It makes you carry other people's moods like they're your responsibility. The upgrade is simple, and it's quiet. You become respectful, controlled, hard to push, and easy to trust. You don't threaten. You don't chase. You don't explain yourself into exhaustion. You choose your words like you own them, and you choose your distance like you deserve it. When someone crosses a line, you don't panic. You adjust. You leave. You end the call. You stop replying. Your standards do the talking. And life feels different after. Fewer arguments because you don't argue for basics. Fewer explanations because you don't hand out your inner world to people who misuse it. Fewer regrets because you don't keep betraying yourself to keep the peace. You still care, but you care with structure. You still help, but you help with limits. You still love, but you love without surrendering your spine. Late at night, your phone lights up again. A familiar message, a familiar pull. You feel the old reflex to type, to smooth, to fix. This time you set it down. You choose silence. You choose sleep. And nothing collapses. The world doesn't punish you. The sky doesn't fall. Your body unclenches, and you realize the truth. You don't need to be understood by everyone to be at peace. Some people will drift when the old version of you disappears. Let them. What stays is real. What leaves was never yours anyway. From now on, you don't prove you're good. You live quietly, and you choose who gets close.